Today, the unsung heroes of Marion Community Schools. We meet an outstanding PhD who has a plan for our children's future. All that and more right now on this episode of the Giant Showcase.
Welcome to the Giant Showcase. We're so glad that you are joining us. We have a great giant show lined up for you today. Have some special guests with me, and I'll introduce them to you here in just a moment. And then we also, you don't want to go anywhere. You want to stay with us for the whole show, because at the very end we have a very special person that was just brought into the Marion Community School family, and we're going to introduce her to you in just a little bit. She goes by Dr. G, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But first, with me, I have some of the members there. I refer to them as some unsung heroes because they're a lot of behind the scenes work that they do. School board members here, and I have with me Greg Kitts. You've actually been since 2006, right?
2007.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. And so this is Greg Kitts, and then Kathy Moritz. You actually have been on since 2006, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. I finished a term in 2006 and then started in 2007 again.
Mm-hmm. And then Chuck Griffin, you actually have been one of the newer members to the board, correct?
Right. That
Joining
is correct.
in 2016.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to have all three of you here with me today. I know that there's some really great things happening within the community school system, and we're going to talk about those. But before I get into that, like maybe some new iPads in the classrooms, right? That we're going to talk about that. You guys helped to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So you definitely want to hear about that. But first, I think if you're like me, you'd like to get to know these folks a little bit. You may already know them. They're pretty active in the community and very involved throughout Marion in many, many different ways. And one of the things that I was excited to find out is that all three of you have children presently within the school system, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And they're older in the high school level.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So your involvement then, all three of you on the board, this is more than just a position that you're serving in. This is actually personal too, because not only are you board members, but your parents.
Right.
Correct. And I think Greg and I kind of started at the same time, and it was one of those situations where I felt if I was going to complain about the way things were going, mm-hmm. I either needed to step up and serve on the board or run for the board or quit complaining if I wasn't willing to step up and serve.
I so respect that. So thank you. And I get a feeling from talking with you a little bit that you all kind of feel that way too, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We both sat down and kind of talked about it, and we just said, it just seemed like it was the time mm-hmm. That we really needed to get involved. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we wanted to run basically kind of together at the same time mm-hmm. to kind of get to the board, and then we did have to wait a couple more years until another election until we could get more people on the board who were willing to dive in and really make a difference, because it did matter, and it wasn't just for our kids though, but it's for everybody's kids, and so we wanted the system better. Not only for ours, but for everybody's. And it just seemed like everybody wasn't working together at that time, that many years ago. It's been, my goodness, it just seems like yesterday.
Time does fly.
Yeah.
I do have recollection of when things weren't running quite so smoothly, but they have been, I must say, for quite some time now. And I know a lot of that's due to your efforts and others. And, one of the things that I would like to talk about is improving the school system. Now, Kathy, I know you happen to have a heart to see the school be the very best that it possibly can be, as do all of you. And one of the ways that I would like to look at that is something you really embrace the idea of diversity, as do all of you. And if you would share with us a little bit about the importance of diversity throughout the education system, just share with us a little bit about that.
My thoughts are, I love my son going to Marion High School because it is diverse. It's the real world. It's what you're going to face when you graduate from Marion High School and you go on to college. Yeah. You're not going to be in a little bubble. Right. I can't protect my son for the rest of his life, although I'd love to. He's going to go out in the real world, and he's going to know how to handle situations where I don't believe he might know how to handle those situations if he didn't go to Marion High School. And he's got friends of all races, male, female, a lot of diversity, and it's just been a great situation for him. And I mean, I have tons of kids come to my house and love it. And it's just, he's going to be ready for that real world situation when he leaves Marion.
Mm-hmm. How do you, all of you, I'm curious, I know that one of the goals is to see Marion Community School System become the school of choice for the community. How do you see that progressing? Because I see a lot of good. We get a chance to talk about a lot of great things on this show each month. And how do you see the progress on that?
I think it's something that we're always working on, and we're definitely working toward. It's always, in my mind, a struggle, but yet we have inspiring teachers who bring it out. And some of the students that maybe their parents, their guardians, aren't quite as excited about the schools and getting to school and things like that, but yet we have those inspiring teachers who bring it out into those kids. So you have that on the one end, and then on the other end, you have the children who can go about anywhere to college and beyond. And when they graduate, they're going to have, 20, 30, 50 credits for college. So it's going to be fantastic for them. And so we just have this range.
Too, right?
Sure, mm-hmm. Sure. A big savings as far as college would go. Mm-hmm. And so that's great. And it's just such a wide, diverse background that everybody can have. And I think that's really what America is. We have people who are doing quite well. We have people who are struggling, but yet it's still the land of opportunity. Our school is that land of opportunity. Come in, fight hard, come out with maybe as many as 60 college credits. I know we have one student who just graduated with 60 college credits, so he's halfway through college.
Right, and that's impressive, and a lot of work that he put into it as well. So wonderful that those opportunities are there. And I really love what you just said too. That's something that I think we should hold on to, is the idea that our school system is the land of opportunity, because you all have worked as well as many others to make the school that land of opportunity. And a little bit of things that I'd like to talk about is some of the facility improvements as well. Let's first off, we'll talk about the turf, the very first turf field for soccer and football. What was the motivator for making that happen?
I think the motivator was we were playing soccer at Ballard Field. The field conditions were not good. We also could not charge, admission. And we felt we've got first-class soccer programs. And the football program had been down, but we felt like our kids deserved first-rate facilities. And obviously, the other schools are starting to follow suit. So I think we made the right decision. Although, we did hear some grumbling about it, and there was a little cost involved. But I think our kids deserve those opportunities.
I agree as well. And one other thing that I mentioned when we very first started just talking here is the $900,000. Think about that. $900,000 invested into your kids, right? So that the school can purchase iPads to be used in the classroom. Wow, that's huge. How do you anticipate that helping to make the school grow and become that school of choice within our community?
I think that it's a no-brainer for technology with the young children. I mean, I know with my children, they know way more about computers and things like that. And the quicker that you can get that into their hands in an educational purpose, I think that betters their chances of survival and better themselves in their further education after high school.
Mm-hmm. So true. I agree with that. We are quickly running out of time, but I want to give you a chance. If there's anything that you would like to share with the viewers, knowing that these are parents and grandparents and family members of children within the community school system. So is there anything that you would like to share directly or let them know? This is an opportunity for you. I'm putting you on this. I'm putting him on the spot, right? I didn't warn him.
I feel like we have great teachers within the system. We have people that care. We have administrators and administration that cares. It's really everybody that's working for the organization cares. And I think it really starts, even if you'd say it at the top, with the school board and the superintendent. We care. We're here, and we are serving a purpose. We're here to educate the children to the best that we can. And it's great when they work with us. It's a little more of a struggle when they don't. But with the purchase of the iPads, we think that the technology can also get them interested because they're intrigued with technology and they are using it outside of the classroom, so to speak, and doing different games and things like that. And so therefore, if we can incorporate that and they can learn, that makes it even better. And so I think the biggest thing is you might call us unsung heroes, but yet it's those teachers that work every day in that classroom is really what makes it all happen, in my mind. They're the real leaders and the cheerleaders that I'm cheering for.
Well, hats off to all of you. Really appreciate your work, appreciate your time that you took out of your busy days to come in and be a part of the show. And we look forward to hopefully visiting with you more in the future then.
Thank you.
All right, well, now,
Thanks for the invite.
yeah, anytime. It's a pleasure. Now, don't go anywhere because I have a really special guest coming up and you don't want to miss this, all right? And you're going to get a chance to meet one of our newest members of Marion Community School family. So we'll be right back with some more Giant Showcase in just a moment.
In many ways, my job at Boeing feels like a continuation of my role in the Air Force Reserve, refueling aircraft at 20,000 feet. They say the dream job is something you do for free. I have that dream job.
Start your adventure with the Air Force Reserve.
Welcome back to the Giant Showcase, and as I promised, we still have some more Giant Show for you to watch. So I have a great guest with me. This is somebody that you probably don't see much of in the terms of out in front of the public eye, but she is helping to get the word out to you. It is Patricia Gibson. She is the Director of Communication for Marion Community Schools, and wow, do you have a huge job.
Right.
Wow. Because you are taking care of getting the word out, all the giant successes that we talk about on this show.
Right.
You are responsible for making sure all of that is captured and made known to the world, and you help me be able to do a lot of research and study because I get a chance to read some of the stuff that you write on the website, on Facebook, on the blog, on all the different ways that you get the word out. And so thank you for making my job a little easier. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm here for.
And you know what, I'm going to tell folks, I kind of have in my mind coined her as keeper of the excellence, because you think about this, she is taking care of communications for the preschool, every elementary school, the high school, and Marion Community Schools as a whole. Now, I just want you to wrap your head around that for a minute. That's a lot of news.
It is.
How do you keep it straight?
With a lot of help, first of all. Pretty much anybody in the school system, I love for them to come and tell me about something, because I'm only one person, and I don't get out to the buildings every day, certainly. So yes, I rely a lot on other people to bring things to me. But with the big news, I mean, kind of everybody hears about that in the hallways, it gets out. But part of my job is to make sure that it's there for the rest of, as you said, the world to see, which is exciting. We literally have people in other countries who have a connection to Marion that maybe come to our site.
I don't think about that often, but alumni that have,
or family members, or
exactly, and so they're wanting to stay in touch with home,
right?
And no matter where they're at in the world, they can do that because of the work that you do,
right?
And I know that it can take hours to put together a press release. I know that. And I don't think people appreciate what you go into, trying to make sure you get all the facts right, get all the information together, and don't leave anything, and getting the good pictures, because you do put those into the mix as well. Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. And I want to let you all know, if you are a family member of somebody who is within Marion Community Schools, there are several different ways that you can find information out about what's going on with respect to your student or loved one affiliated with the school system. And I would like Patricia to take a moment, if you would please, and share with us all the different ways that we can find out information.
Sure. So the main home for the kind of news stream would be our website. So I'll go ahead and give you that address. Yes. Okay. It's marion.k12.in.us. It's kind of a mouthful, but I'm sure if you Google anywhere around here, that one's going to come up high on the results because we have such a steady stream of news. But we also have Facebook pages for the district and then every single one of our schools. And then we also have, as you mentioned, kind of the blog section, the news blog section of our website is the part that's most frequently updated. And then we also have an email newsletter that we send out occasionally that gives people links. So if that's the way they like to communicate, sign up for our newsletter. But it all kind of lives on the website and everything else kind of points to that. We have a lot of videos and pictures that show up on YouTube and on Facebook. We have some Twitter accounts. We have, I think, even a Pinterest account. So lots of different ways for people to kind of enter.
For those who say, I didn't know that was going on, I'm going to say, why didn't you? I mean, it's all out there for you to see. Why not check it out? You got to check out the school website if you don't do anything else. And you know, if you just don't have a lot of time to stay focused in on that, subscribe to the newsletter because it's all the highlights. It's all the good information that you need to know. And it's just sent to you real conveniently. And you can just glance at it whenever it's convenient. You know, speaking of the school website and all these different things, there's some, because as I said earlier, the keeper of the excellence, and you know, everything that's going on within the Marion Community Schools. So if there's one person that anybody wanted to go to find out an answer, it's you.
Sure. Yes. And that's a big part of my job too. There are certain people that I rely on that I can always ask questions to, but I really like to be that person for other people too, both internally and externally. So certainly feel free to give me a call at the district office if you're wondering. Well, but also, if you have news that you think I should know about, call me.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's good. That's good. Yes. And we'll make sure that there's a link on the Giant Showcase website, which is also linked on the Marion Community School System website. So remember, this show has its own website, and you can go and watch archived episodes. So I want to remind you that that's there, too. Something, again, that we're making available to you because we want to help you stay informed about all the great Giant success that's happening throughout Marion Community Schools. Now, speaking of some neat things, tell me a little bit because we're getting ready for back to school here shortly. So you've got the Giant Summer Academy. Tell me a little bit about that.
So we have more than 300 students, and to put that in perspective, that's about the size of one of our elementary schools. We have that many students in the Giant Summer Academy this year, which in the old days, some people might have called summer school, but it's a lot more exciting than what you think about when you think of summer school. They have kind of class time in the morning where they get either help or a boost or extra opportunities depending on where their needs are. And then in the afternoon, they get to take part in enrichment activities, which have ranged from swim classes to dance classes to board games to science experiments, all kinds of different things. Things that a lot of times you have to pay a lot of money for.
Right.
For a summer school experience. And this was free to our students. So it's really exciting. And it's been fun. My office is in the high school building, and the Summer Academy was in the high school building also, so get to see all the little kids, and that's not something that I get to see every day. It's fun. So.
Yeah, that would be it. And thank you for sharing that. You're right. It makes me want to go now. It sounds like a lot of fun. So, you know, we're running out of time here real quick, so I want to also talk about the back to school. For parents that need to register children, they can do that on the website, right?
Right. It's run through the parent portal that they usually use all year. So if they're familiar with that, it's run through the same system, but there are going to be links on our website. Online registration is set to open up in early July. A lot of that is just confirming that your information is still correct. And then our in-school, on-site registration days will be in mid-July. And new students who are new to the school system, they should plan to come to those on-site days. Everybody else is eligible for online kind of re-registration.
So convenient. Well, you know what, Patricia Gibson, Director of Communication, we are all out of time.
That flies by.
It does fly by. And I'm so glad that you've been watching us. I hope that you were better informed by watching. But you know what? We have one more guest that we're going to be bringing on in just a minute. One of the newer members to Marion Community School family. And she goes by Dr. G. And I'll introduce you to her in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with some more Giant Showcase in just a moment.
Michael Adams? Here. Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams.
Students who miss 18 days of school in any grade risk falling behind and not graduating. Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today.
Welcome back to the Giant Showcase, and I have a very special guest for you to meet. She is one of the newest members to Marion Community School family, and I told you earlier her name is Dr. G, and in fact it is Dr. G because her name is Gwendolyn, and it's Gwendolyn, Dr. Gwen Levert, and she is the principal for Francis Slocum Elementary, brand new principal, and she has a great background, and I'm going to get a chance to get to know her a little bit on the show, and are you as you join us in our conversation. So welcome, first off, to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm excited about being here.
I'm so glad you're here, and great big congratulations on joining Marion Community School System.
Thank you very much.
And I am so excited to hear about your background and maybe a little bit about your vision for Francis Slocum Elementary. Share with me a little bit about well, first off, I know that your specialty is literacy.
Yes.
That's something you have a passion for.
Yes,
and you're an author.
Yes.
So would you share with us a little bit about that?
Well, I just have to start with before I started teaching, and that takes me back to me being under a persimmon tree. And a little girl who was in first grade with me announced that I was not doing well in reading.
Really?
She said, "You're not doing well in reading. And because of that, you may not go on to the next grade."
Oh, dear.
And I said, "Really?" And I'm first grade.
Okay.
And I couldn't believe she told me this.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, I went home and told my mother, and she went back to the school to talk with the first grade teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother became my first grade teacher. And I moved on to the next grade, and my mother was right there as a warrior for me. And she was a warrior for me for literacy until she passed away. She was 82 or 83 when she passed away.
Wow.
But that was my beginning with literacy. At that point, I knew I wanted to be a first grade teacher. So I was a first grade teacher teaching literacy for 11 years. And every child in my class became a fluent reader. That was my goal. And I did not stop. Even those who struggled, I did not stop until they were truly literate. And so for the rest of my life, I moved to a master's degree with literacy and a PhD in literacy and administration. And here I am, a leader of schools. This will not be my first school as a principal. I've been a principal several times, and each time I have been working with low-performing schools, trying to make championing for children.
Yes.
But I think the best way to champion for children is to build teacher capacity, making sure that I build on the strengths of teachers and making sure that I'm able to help teachers realize their potential and the gifts of all their children. And the pure gift of literacy, the pure gift of being able to pick up a book and reading it.
It is so, literacy is empowering.
It's very empowering because if they can't read, what will they be able to do? I once heard another literacy specialist say that parents will forgive us for a lot of things, but they will not forgive us if their children cannot read. And that is so
Words to take to heart.
Words to take to heart. And because of that, I've championed for that, and I will continue to do so at Francis Slocum. But not alone. That's the good part.
Yes.
I will have teachers who will be walking and marching with me into the field of literacy and searching for ways to turn all children on to literacy.
Share with me a little bit about your vision for Francis Slocum. I know you just kind of started to there a little bit, but do you have some goals that you would like to see happen over the course of this next school year, which will be your first year with the school, and then maybe a few years out down the way?
Okay. Well, I'm not going into Francis Slocum believing that there are not already goals, because they are there and they're very strong, so we can celebrate that. I'm not going into Francis Slocum believing that they're not strong teachers, because it's a proven record that they are strong and that they love children. But together, my vision is that we're going to look at the data together.
Yes.
And we're going to look for those gaps. And they've already started to look at those gaps. And together, we're going to pull with their strengths, we're going to pull in those gaps and those ideas that should be in place that will make them even stronger than where they are. So we want a sustainable, comprehensive literacy program that will touch the lives of all children and move them to their potential. Now, we believe that the brain can be changed, because there are those who believe that learning is genetic, that if they came from a poor family, they will always be poor.
I'm familiar with that school of thought.
Yeah, and that they can't change anything, that's it. But the new research is saying that they can be changed. And we, when I say we, the Francis Slocum family and I will look for those gaps. Replace those gaps with high probability practices, high operational practices that can turn children around. So that's my vision, is to provide a high operational, practical strategy for all the children that are there.
Well, I think that you are going to have great success, and I know that you are going to have the support of the community and our viewers as well. And I look forward to hearing some of the great successes that are going to come about, I'm sure.
Thank you.
I want to give our viewers a chance to get to know you a little bit, just because you're so new to us. And I mentioned already that you're an author.
Yes.
And also you've traveled and lived abroad as well, and in some very fascinating places. Would you share with us a little bit about maybe some of the books that you've written and where you spent the last few years?
Okay. Well, when I was telling you the story about me and literacy, as this first grade teacher, I couldn't find books for my children. They were either too high or they were too low. So guess what? I started writing. I found a grant, and that helped me to write stories, and I would write the stories, and the kids were so excited about my stories and me telling the stories. They said, "Oh, did you write those stories?" I thought, well, if I can write for first graders, I can write for anyone. So I started submitting, and before I knew it, I was a published author. I have one story called The Music in Derek's Heart, which is a Reading Rainbow book. I have one called Off to School, which is on the Smithsonian's children's book list. I have one called Papa's Mark, which is, what is that? I think it's another Reading Rainbow book. So I have many books that are geared towards children, those who struggle, but those who overcome the struggle. Okay. So in 2009, I started traveling to the Middle East, training teachers, Arabic teachers, Muslim teachers, in the whole art of literacy. And I call it an art because it is an art, isn't it?
It's so fascinating.
So I did that in 2009, and 2011, I went back again. And then 2011, I became a resident of Qatar. And you're hearing a lot about Qatar in the news. And I worked for 2 years for Qatar University and 2 years for the Ministry of Education. But during that time, it wasn't just work, it was play also. I was able to travel to Jordan, many parts of India, Singapore. So I've traveled all over the Gulf, and just was introduced to so many wonderful people who are still my friends.
You know, I wish that we had more time because I feel like I'm just starting to get to know you and I know that you don't want me to have to wrap this up, but we are out of time. And, you know, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share with us. And I do hope that maybe sometime down the road you will join us again on the show.
Thank you
and
so much.
maybe we can talk a little bit more about some of those books that you wrote and some of those neat experiences that you've had over time. But I know that we are blessed as a school system to have you as part of the family.
Thank you so much. It's been a great opportunity. Thank you.
And I want to thank you so much for watching today, and I hope that you will keep an eye open when Patricia Gibson is posting all those successes on Marion Community School website about what you're going to hear Dr. G doing and Francis Slocum family there. So thanks so much. We're out of time, so stay tuned for some more quality family programming that you can trust right here on WSOT TV.